Hey, hi, how you doing? This is the Gamertron, and I am not an old school gamer. I usually play games that have come out in the past 6 years. Rarely do I go beyond that limit. I love new game releases, and I love this current generation, this next generation of graphics and gameplay. However, there are a great many people who still love the old school retro games. There are still people to this day who play the original Super Mario Bros. Games. There are still people to this day who play the original Mega Man games, and the Sonic the Hedgehog games, and the Legend of Zelda games. There are still people who play the 2D side-scrollers, the 8-bit, 16-bit, whatever strategy games. There are still people who play those old-school first-person shooters like Doom and Wolfenstein 3D. And I can understand. I understand completely why they love those things, why they love those old-style games. They are the pioneers, the granddaddies. They were the first. Through them, video games are where they are today. Also, people just prefer that style. They prefer the 18-bit, 16-bit, whatever, I don't know the bits. So I'm just gonna say 8-bit. Those 8-bit games. People out there who enjoy the simplicity and the challenge of those games. I understand completely. Doesn't mean I like them, though. I understand completely why you like those games. But I'm sorry, but I just like the generation afterwards. While I see the appeal of 8-bit graphics, I prefer high textures, 3D modeling, and dynamic lighting. Some people enjoy the simplicity of those old games. I prefer the games that give you overwhelming amount of options. Some people love the stories of those old games, incredibly simple as the worst. Hell, they love games that back then that didn't have stories, just the gameplay, and how there was no voice acting, just text. I love the incredible, realistic, cinematic stories we can tell with games nowadays, and I love video game voice actors. You have no idea. Video games have brought so much incredible voice talent and people and characters to the media. Don't get me wrong, I understand why people like old school gaming. But I love current gen. I love what we have right now. I love what's been done for the past 6 years. But hey, it's all just personal taste. I wasn't born in that time. I wasn't born in the 70s and 80s. I was born in the mid-90s, when 3D graphics, the rise of first-person shooters, and the AAA blockbuster video games were just coming out. I grew up in that time. I got used to that. I was born in the time where video games were evolving into something new, and their genres and capabilities were expanding to incredible proportions. People who enjoy old school games grew up in those times. They grew up with those games. They're nostalgic. They're important to them. Me? I'm just creating that love. I'm just creating that nostalgia right now. I'm playing the games that I will remember for years, that I will adore and go back to even as the media of video game evolves, because in the next few years, the next decade, imagine where games are going to go. We've come so far. Imagine how much farther we're going to go. And you know what? I may like what comes next. Hell, I may not. I may prefer how games are right now. I may prefer the games that I've played right now. First-person shooters changed from what they were back in the 80s and 90s to now. They're going to change from now into the future. And I'm probably going to miss the way they were done now, because they're probably going to be done a completely different way in the future. Same thing with side-scrollers, platformers, third-person shooters, horror games. Everything's going to change. Oh, RPGs too. Multiplayer is going to have huge advances in the future. So will single-player. So will how single-player stories are told. Everything's gonna change. That's what the beauty of video games. It's an evolving medium. Virtual reality and virtual reality simulations are gonna be a huge thing in the future. It's remarkable to see how games have gone from old school to now, and how they're going to evolve in the future. It's amazing seeing the evolution and growth of video games. Eventually, what I like right now is eventually going to become old school. And what people consider old school, the classics, the 8-bit, 16-bit games, those are going to be very old school. Those are going to be ancient school. And you know what? I'm pretty sure decades from now, people are still going to love the 8-bit retro old school games. There's a charm to them, no doubt. It's just my personal taste of whether I like playing them or not. And I'm not saying the 8-bit retro old school style should be abandoned. No, it should be continued upon. Because there is an audience for that style. It's just not my style. So whether it be old school, current gen, or next gen gaming, doesn't matter what year we were born in or what style of games we enjoy. We all enjoy video games here. Let's embrace the past, enjoy the present, and celebrate the future. This has been the Gamertron. Hope you guys enjoyed. And remember, if you want to ask me questions, I have a Q&A video that you can leave comments in, and your questions will show up in my upcoming Q&As, eh? Also, if you want to leave me suggestions for more video commentaries, let me know in the comments below. What do you want me to talk about? Okay, now this is the real end of the video. Bye.